Okay guys, today we are doing a Craftsman lawnmower's carburetor. This is a Craftsman 5.5 gold, easy starting, quiet Briggs and Stratton motor. 3-in-1 convertible Craftsman 2. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take 8mm, take the air filter cover off. Okay. This is a primer type. We're going to take these 3 8mm bolts out. Actually, they're 5/16, just so you know. I'm using 8mm. It works 8mm or 5/16. And it pulls straight off. This will stick on the tube a little bit, but it'll pull right off. Now, you got to be very careful with the gasket. See, this one broke. This gasket's very important. This is a primer gasket. You have to have it. It has to be intact. So I'll put those in the description, you know, so that you can find them. There's a whole kit: carburetor, the gasket, air filter, spark plug. There's a whole kit that I'll put in there as well. So okay, now we're going to take this fuel line off, the clamp. Just use a pair of pliers, squeeze it together, slide it down, and then pull the fuel line off. Then we're going to drain the tank. I empty it into a clear bottle so I can see what was in the tank. This gas is a little dark. I may have put 2 cycle in or something. That won't kill it. That's not why it isn't running. But I bet the gas is bad too. Now we're going to take the 2 3/8 bolts out. There's one there and there's one here. You can use 10mm too, but 3/8 fits perfect. Now we're going to remove the throttle linkage. All you do is you take and twist this to the right a little bit, get it to the bottom, twist it to the right. Is it right? Yeah, twist it to the right, boom, and it pops right out. Alright, now notice there's a O-ring back in here. Make sure that that O-ring is back there. I'll have one in the description in that kit. I'll see if I can find it individually too. But it's just an O-ring, no big deal. Just need to make sure you got an O-ring back there that that fits on there. That just seals the back of the carburetor to the engine, so it doesn't leak any air. Now a 1/2 inch or a 13mm, we'll take that bowl bolt out. Now we got this out. That is actually a jet. That's going to have to be very clean. We got the bowl off. We're going to have to clean that really well. We're going to have to pull the flow out. Before we do though, look at it. See how it's not level? It should be level like that. That means the seal's swelled up in it. We're going to have to replace the seal. So pull the pin out, remove the float and needle valve. Now we're going to clean everything with a can of carb cleaner. There's a couple of holes, you can't really see them, inside here. They have to spray out somewhere. You have to clean them. This in here has to be sprayed through and cleaned really well. Then there is 1, 2, 3 holes. Clean them really well. Spray through. Clean the float off. Make sure there's no debris on it. Just clean it off really good. This jet here, we'll take that felt washer off. I'll put a whole carburetor kit. It'll be this O-ring. It'll be the seal. It'll be the felt washer. It'll be the needle valve. And it's a K11 LMR. I'll put that in there. But that hole has to come through to that hole, and that hole goes all the way through to the other side. So all that has to spray through really nice and solid. And really keep it clean. You can use a wire. If you pull a wire out of a wire wheel, you can poke it with a wire, and that'll help too. Also with a flathead screwdriver, make sure you scrape off any of the old gasket if your gasket rips. If your gasket doesn't rip and it seems to be intact, just try not to mess with it and you can reuse it. But if it rips, just get rid of it, put a new one on. And again, a little wire from a wire wheel will actually will actually poke through any of the holes if they're being a pain in the butt. You just poke them through. Alright, so now I'm going to use, this is a special Tecumseh tool. I'll put that in the description too. It's got a little hook on it. You can use a pick and just pull the seal out of here. It'll be in there. You just shove this in and pull it out. You can use a little flathead screwdriver. When you go to put it back in, you put the seal on this and then shove it back in. But you can put the seal down in here and use like a 4mm Allen or something small. Just gently press it down in there. But this works so much better. It does it right each time without damaging the seal. Once you've got the seal out of there, make sure it's very clean. Spray carb cleaner in it. Now I use a little spray oil, and I spray everything down, but make sure you get it in there. Now this is the seal that goes in there. There's a smooth side and then there's a ridge side. So the ridge side will go down into it. The smooth side points up towards the needle valve. So I put it on my tool with the ridge side out, the smooth side's towards the tool, so I can shove it into the hole of the equipment. Now you're going to press and twist this in there, but I'm also going to take a little pair of pliers or something and tap this. You got to hold it with both hands, but give it a good couple of whacks just to make sure it's in all the way. Now you're not hitting that tool very hard, you're just tapping it a little bit, and then you get that seal all the way in there. You can pull the tool out, the seal stays right in there. Can't really see it. There it is. Now we're going to put the needle valve into the float like that, and then we're going to reassemble the float and needle valve into the carburetor and put the pin in. Now notice that this is completely level. If it's up, you don't have the seal all the way down in, or there was debris still inside under the seal. It won't let it go all the way in. It needs to be completely level. If you blow in with this carburetor upside down like this into here, nothing should come out of this. If you blow in it and lift this up, it should flow freely. All right. Now we're going to reassemble it. Put the bowl back on. That seal is good on mine. If yours tears, put a new one on it. If it looks squashed and looks like it won't seal anything, put a new one on it. Felt washer on there. This is the jet. You gotta make sure that thing is super clean. Poke it with a wire, spray it out with carburetor cleaner. Keep going until that thing sprays nice even jet out of it. Alright, I need two hands to do that. Don't lose it. Alright, I need two hands. There's something I didn't notice. Usually these carburetors don't have a fuel air mixture screw on it. This one does. If you do pull this out and clean it through underneath here, put it all the way until it's snug. Don't tighten it or you'll fuck it up. Just up until it's snug and then come back 2 full turns. Then you can fine tune it from there when you've got your lawnmower running. A little bit in, a little bit out, you know, whatever, till you get that perfect run, you know. Now we're putting it back in. You just stab it into that and then turn it till it's all the way in. Now we're going to put the 2 3/8 bolts in to hold this up into place. Now before you hook up the fuel line to this, you got to make sure that it's clean. I use an air hose and I blow it out really well, make sure there's no water, no old bad gas in there, no dirt in there. Do not use water. Just rinse it out with fresh gas if you have to. Just make sure there's no water or dirt in it. Now that it's clean, we'll reattach the fuel line and put the clamp back on. Now the fuel line's on, we have to put the air filter assembly on. But before we put that on, we need to put the primer gasket on. Now there's little tiny pointy nipples. You can see the big hole lines up. The little pointy nipples line it all up. You push these onto the pointy nipples, just like that. Now it's all put in place. You can actually put this back in. Make sure that this rubber tube right here goes up onto that pipe and then set it in place. Now you got it in place, put the 3 8mm or 5/16 bolts in. Now I haven't tightened it down, but that gasket we put between this and that carburetor is the primer gasket. And without it, you won't be able to prime your lawnmower. But in a bind, if you have to put it together without it, you need to use this motor. You need to mow your lawn before company comes. You don't have time to wait a week for a gasket to come in. Leave it out, put this back together, squirt some starting fluid in your carburetor and it'll fire up and run. This just is to get it to fire up and run. Once it's fired up, it'll run because your carburetor is completely clean. Now we've gotten that all tightened up. We will put our air filter on. Just make sure it's good and clean. Blow it out with air or whatever. If you have to, replace it, put a new one in. This one's fine, so I'm just going to put it back in. Put it on up and tighten the bolt down. And that's basically it. That's how you do your carburetor. If that helped you in any way, shape, or form, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Show me a little support. Any of the parts you're going to need, I'll look them up. I'll put them in the description below from Amazon. Carburetor, air filter, O-ring, gasket, carburetor rebuild kit, anything you might need to do this job, fuel line, whatever I can find, I'll put it right in the description below so you can easily click on it and buy it. Today's t-shirt, I'll put that in there too. If you want me to wear your t-shirt, send one to me. I'll be happy to wear it for a whole day. Do 3 to 5 videos in it. Peace.